I want to tell you about the parasite that nearly ended Leon S. Kennedy, that writhing, fanged horror in the village church. Kennedy, that writhing, horror in the village church Spencer mansion reeked with T-virus horrors, the parasite's first mutation, flesh unmade. Umbrella's corporate ambitiously experiments built into the birth-to-world cult, escaped their What Do You Thab labs. Osmund Saddler, a scholar turned mad, harvested a corrupted prototype, twisted it into Las Plagas. The parasite's first mutation, a wound in Umbrella's own failures. Corporate ambition birthed a cult, the church doors creak open, what do you think feeds the hunger? The fluorescent hum of a cold lab, a vial of writhing crimson, stolen from a locked Umbrella vault. Osmund Saddler's fevered hands inject the sample into a captured host. The parasite convulsed, not a relic, but a rejected prototype, a hiss of ozone where the vial cracked. The host's skin peels back like parchment, revealing branching tendrils beneath. Somewhere in the Sierras, a church breathes through stone walls thick with incense. Saddler kneels, his shadow stretching long over a rust-stained altar. The first mutation was Umbrella's failure, the second was his prayer. A vial's shatter echoes in his skull. Asterisk, what is a god but a man with the right infection? Asterisk, the parasite coils hungry. The cult's hymns rise, throaty and wet. Corporate horror does not end in boardrooms. It breeds in the cracks where faith and fear meet. Osmund Saddler did not build his cult from faith. He built it from rot, from the marrow of a corporation that cast its failures into the dark. Umbrella's prototype 17B was abandoned after 123 failed human trials, a parasite that consumed its host, a dead project. Saddler found it in the trash of progress. He did not clean it, he did not refine it, he let it fester. The jewels emerged first, crawling, ravenous things. They did not seek to merge, they devoured. A mistake, no, a weapon, a shock to the system. Guadana came next, bulging, brutal, flesh folded into armor, Saddler's answer to resistance, to borders, to limits. Then the Plaga Master, a parasite that learned, that listened, that shaped its host into a vessel of worship, not through biology alone, through suggestion. Through whispers in the blood, Osmund Saddler did not lead a cult, he became its host. The rage was not his, it was theirs. The rage of the discarded, the rage of a thing that clings to life by tearing it apart. Leon Kennedy saw a monster. He did not see the origin, a prototype that refused to die, a parasite that learned to pray. Umbrella buried its shame. Saddler exhumed it. He did not create Las Plagas, he unleashed its next mutation. A cult is not a choice, it is a symbiosis, a hunger dressed as devotion. And in the silence between heartbeats, the Plaga Master waits, waiting to see what comes next, waiting to merge. Osmund Saddler did not build his cult from faith, he built it from rot, from the marrow of a corporation that cast its failures into the dark. Umbrella's prototype 17B was abandoned after 123 failed human trials, a parasite that consumed its host, a dead project. Saddler found it in the trash of progress. He did not clean it, he did not refine it, he let it fester. The jewels emerged first, crawling, ravenous things. They did not seek to merge, they devoured. A mistake, no, a weapon, a shock to the system. Guadana came next, bulging, brutal, flesh folded into armor, Saddler's answer to resistance, to borders, to limits. Then the Plaga Master, a parasite that learned, that listened, that shaped its host into a vessel of worship, not through biology alone, through suggestion. Through whispers in the blood, Osmund Saddler did not lead a cult, he became its host. The rage was not his, it was theirs. The rage of the discarded, the rage of a thing that clings to life by tearing it apart. Leon Kennedy saw a monster. He did not see the origin, a prototype that refused to die, a parasite that learned to pray. Umbrella buried its shame. Saddler exhumed it. He did not create Las Plagas, he unleashed its next mutation. A cult is not a choice, it is a symbiosis, a hunger dressed as devotion. And in the silence between heartbeats, the Plaga Master waits, waiting to see what comes next, waiting to merge. The prototype lay dormant in a rusted vault beneath a forgotten Umbrella lab, not a weapon, not yet. Just a pathogen abandoned when trials turned men to gibbering husks. Saddler did not steal it, he resurrected it. A scientist scorned, a man who'd watched his life's work buried under corporate ash. The T-virus had birthed horrors. Las Plagas would birth purpose. He fed it rage. Not blood, not flesh, a hunger older than science. The parasite coiled, mutated, split into nested horrors, a parasite within a parasite, a hunger within a hunger. Umbrella had sought control, Saddler sought transcendence. What does a man become when corporations erase him? A cult leader, a prophet, a walking plague. The first mutation did not whisper, it screamed. Cells tore, merged, became something that gnawed at the line between host and master, not symbiosis, dominion. The cult did not choose Las Plagas chose them. Farmers, beggars, the broken drawn to the parasite's promise, not of salvation, of annihilation. A new order forged in suffering. Umbrella's failure became Saddler's scripture. Their guilt became his crusade. He did not weaponize the pathogen, he weaponized the wound. Every infected body a monument to corporate betrayal, every form a hymn to what was stolen. The parasite's first leap, a middle finger to the boardroom. To the men who'd called him a liability, dread curls in the air now. The mutation is no longer his, it is theirs, the cult's, the parasite's. And in the silence between heartbeats, the Plaga Master waits, waiting to see what comes next, waiting to merge. The first Las Plagas mutation was not a miracle, it was a scavenged skeleton key. Umbrella's abandoned parasite, left to rot in a Spanish field, became Saddler's canvas. He did not create the Plaga, he defiled it, twisted its hollow core with old heresies, with the rust of fallen kingdoms. The parasite learned to hunger. Not for flesh but for fractured souls. The cult's birth was not Genesis, it was resurrection, a failed experiment reborn in the cradle of its own neglect. The stone halls reek of iron and rot. The jewels writhe in the dim glow of oil lamps, their limbs snapping like brittle branches. Each crack echoes a silent scream, flesh remade not by choice but by hunger. The parasite whispers in their marrow, a dialect of dominion. Guadana seethe in the shadows, their bodies hot as forged coals. Red eyes burn with a rage that isn't their own. They carve the cult's will into the earth, claws scoring mantras of submission. Blood pools black at their feet, sweet as nectar to the thing that feeds. The Plaga Master waits at the altar, cold as a forgotten god. Its many eyes see all, its voice a chorus of stolen breaths. A host once human, now a throne of horror-jagged spores crown its head, pulsing to a rhythm older than death. Saddler kneels, hands trembling as he offers a new recruit to the parasite. The infection begins as a shiver, a silver thread in the vein, then the screaming. Then silence, the body bows, reshaped by what it cannot reject. Asterisk in their agony, they whispered truths even the parasite couldn't digest. Asterisk the cult does not create. It curates a failed experiment, yes, but one refined by desperation. Flesh is the text, and ideology the blade, each mutation a sermon. Each host a testament to what is lost when the soul is leased to a thing that hungers for obedience. The oil lamps flicker, the spores rise. And the dead march again. The antiseptic tang of a lab clings to the parasite's origins, a sterile wound in the flesh of the world. But antiseptic tang of a here, in the parasite's fever dream of a origins, a Spanish sterile wound village, it breathes in the stench of rot and incense. Umbrella's failed prototype, abandoned in some Geneva vault, found new life in the cracks of old cathedrals. Osmund Saddler did not steal it. He let it burrow like a worm in a forgotten apple. A scientist's scream echoes, muffled by stone. His blood pools on the flagstones where Saddler's cultists drag him, their faces masked with blackened saints. The parasite writhes in his veins, not as weapon but as sacrament. Umbrella engineered mutation as a ladder of dominance. Saddler engineered it as a liturgy of decay. The man's spine twists, vertebrae splitting like ancient timbers. His new form is not a monster, but a monument, a twisted spire of flesh and bone, its many eyes reflecting the flicker of oil lamps. Saddler watches, his hands stained with the same dark ichor now coursing through his disciples. He whispers of purging the old world, of replacing its sinners with something pure, but purity is a lie told by parasites and priests alike. The parasite's first mutation was not in a lab, but in a grave where it drank the humidity of morning and the warmth of a soul too eager to be unmade. The air thickens with spores sweet as rot. A cultist's voice rises in chant, harmonizing with the hum of something older than the church, older than the virus. Umbrella's pathogen sought control. Las Plagas seeks communion. It does not overwrite the host, it weaves through their dreams, their fears, their hunger for meaning. The scientist's new body kneels, not in pain but in rapture. His many mouths whisper not of Umbrella, but of Saint Osmund, the apostle of putrefaction. The parasite's duality is its power. It is both thing and idea, infection and ideology. Umbrella's children die, Saddler's children evolve or devolve, or become something that cannot be named, only followed. The lamps gutter, the spores settle, and the dead march not toward salvation but toward the next host. The Castle Salazar logs expose a chilling truth. Las Plagas is no modern invention. Its roots predate Saddler's ambitions, ancient, coiled waiting. Umbrella's Spanish foray failed, but the parasite did not. It adapted. Saddler's genius was not creation but corruption. He wove corporate science into rotting myth, grafting failed experiments onto something older. The logs confirm it. Las Plagas predates the labs. The parasite that hollowed Leon's body was never Saddler's design. It was a relic repurposed, a wound given teeth. Umbrella's prototype was inert. Saddler's touch made it hungry. The fusion is clear cold biotech fused with fever dream ritual. No theft, no accident, a surrender. The parasite's first mutation was not born in a test tube, but in a grave. The cult did not weaponize Las Plagas, they became its vessel. The dead march not for Saddler, they march for the thing that moves in the dark, ancient and unnameable. The machine grinds, the spores rise. And the world narrows to the sound of wings. The machine's gears never stopped turning. A prototype was left to rot in Spain's heat. What emerged was not Umbrella's design, but a parasite reborn in the cult's crucible. Saddler did not steal a formula. He found a wound, a failed experiment festering in the dark. Las Plagas was no corporate product. It was a hymn to decay, refined by hands that worshipped ruin. The T-virus spread through negligence. Las Plagas spread through intent. Umbrella's labs birthed chaos. The cult's altars birthed purpose. A parasite's first mutation is not the act of a corporation. It is the act of those who kneel before it. What does a pathogen become when it is no longer abandoned? It becomes a sacrament. The Las Plagas was fed on suffering, not serum, each host a vessel. Each death a verse in Saddler's scripture. The cult did not weaponize the parasite. They married it. In their eyes, evolution was not a scientific pursuit. It was a divine reckoning. A failed prototype became a prophet. Who is the true architect of horror? The boardroom that opens Pandora's box, or the cult that dances in the flames. Umbrella's sin was creation. Saddler's sin was devotion. The parasite's first leap was not in a lab. It was in the soil where faith and rot entwined. The machine's spores now carry a new master's breath. And the world narrows to the sound of wings, no longer asking who made the horror, but who chose to serve it. 253 words. The rot where empires cough up their secrets. Las Plagas Rithesa, orphan of the same putrid womb that birthed Raccoon City's plague. July 1998's first sin did not stay buried, it crawled. Umbrella's discarded pathogen, spilt in the Andes' shadow, found a new host in Saddler's madness, not a theft. An inheritance. The cult's parasite was no Spanish invention, but a twisted heir to failed experiments, gnawing on the bones of containment. Wings beat. Evolution does not pause for morality. What hatched in a lab, suffocated in silence, now blooms through Saddler's hymn sprayer and poison, merging flesh to throne. The same rot that turned men to monsters in the rain-soaked halls of Spencer Mansion seeped south, festering in forgotten vials. Saddler did not create evil. He uncorked it, let the parasite drink the poison of human hands, mutate into a godhead of hunger. And when Leon Kennedy's blood met Las Plagas' touch, it was not a new horror. It was an old wound reopening. The T-virus whispered through its veins, "This is what you made. This is what you sowed. Evil does not die, it learns, it adapts. It wears new faces to the same banquet of ash." July 1998, Raccoon City's rot seeped into shadows. Umbrella's broken vials did not stay buried. A parasite was born in sterile labs, not holy fire, its first host. A failed T-virus strain. Saddler's cult did not create Las Plagas, they found it festering in abandoned files. Mistake, corruption, weapon. The line blurred as it burrowed into human flesh. What becomes of a prototype when the patient dies?